Anna is starting her day with an early morning run before her first day as a senior in high school. Leo is on his way home from the bar. 10-minute drive, he thought, starting the car. No problem. He knows the route by heart, but a text message takes his eyes off the road for 2 seconds, and on the third second, Anna rolls over the hood of his Toyota, screeching to a stop. He rushes outside and sees her bleeding on the pavement. No one is on the street right now. Panicked, watching the growing dark stain around her head, he considers leaving. Jesus, why are you even out at this time? But Leo calls an ambulance and sits down next to her, crying out an apology. He takes full responsibility for what happened, per his public defender's advice. And Anna's family and friends in court that day made 10 years of prison seem like a light sentence. Leo would be 36 years old before he'd walk away a free man. It would have been a lot longer, but manslaughter charges can only happen if the victim dies, and she was in a coma. Now, for the first 2 years of his sentence, he'd been sleeping 16 hours a day. But court-ordered counseling interfered, so he did things to get sent to solitary confinement. He got the idea from a schizophrenic brother he grew up with, who'd spend days in bed at home. Everything just goes by faster. It makes it all easier, he said. So while Leo's waking life was locked up with nowhere to go, he retreated into sleep to speed up the decade he owed. And over time, dreams became more lucid. He could feel water in clouds he flew through and taste beer from his glass. Eventually, fantasies could be molded and controlled. Palaces and islands filled with every pleasure possible. Weed, booze, girls. But no matter how amazing the paradise, something kept ruining it all. Anna's face kept showing up in his creations more and more. She'd appear bleeding in reflections and make his guilt inescapable. Until one night, swimming in his favorite lagoon, an icy hand wraps around his leg and quickly drags him under the water. He tries kicking her off, but her grip is too tight, and Anna drowns him. Now, usually when someone dies in a dream, they wake up in bed, but Leo wakes up somewhere else. In a kitchen he doesn't recognize now, 2 small boys scream at him to get off their mother, but he pushes them away as he keeps beating her face in. One of them gets a chair to reach the phone as he throws her down to the tile. She lied, she cheated, threw everything away. He pulls out a drawer by the sink and fishes around a bunch of utensils before finding exactly what he needs. And in his slippery red hand, the knife feels right. This is what she deserves. Daddy, no! They keep screaming. Stop! When he's done, there's so much blood that it soaks through his shoes. His sons cry over their mother's corpse. They're better off without that bitch. Sirens can be heard outside now. Neighbors called the police. Red and blue lights flicker from the windows as officers enter with guns drawn. Hands in the air! When the handcuffs are fastened to his wrist, Leo wakes up startled in his prison cell. What the fuck? Jesus. He checks his hands and clothes, tearing off the blanket from his cot, looking around for the blood, but there's none. It finally happened, he says. He's gone insane like his brother. The next night before bed, he reminds himself that insane people don't question their sanity. He was fine. It was just a nightmare. He breathes a little easier before closing his eyes and falling asleep. Now in a courtroom. Your Honor, I'd like to call the victim's mother to the stand, a lawyer announces to a judge and jury. She sits. Mrs. Rodriguez, could you explain the defendant's relationship to your son? He murdered my baby boy, she screams. My Javier. She points at him. He hired her son as one of his drug pushers. He seemed trustworthy, but he wasn't. Javi knew the rules of the game they played. He knew what would happen if he broke them, and he did it anyway. Cops scared him, and the little bitch snitched. Fucking rat got exactly what he deserved. 3 bullets in the chest on his way home from school. He was only 15, she shouts. The glare of the heartbroken mother warms the seat he's in, but his eyes stay cold with no remorse as they drag her off the stand, tears rolling down her cheeks. She never stops staring at him. Él no tiene alma, she cries into her husband's shoulder. He doesn't have a soul. It's enough of a testimony that jury deliberations take 10 minutes. Life without the possibility of parole. The judge slams the gavel. Leo wakes up in bed and runs to the sink to splash water on his face. He understands what's happening now. He isn't losing his mind. It's lost in the other inmates' dreams. This last one was in his cell block. There wouldn't be any islands or castles he could hide in until he sorted all this out, until Anna left him alone. So he dried his face and went back to sleep, with purpose this time. He lands in the nightmare of a pedophile on death row, where his ashamed family watches and cheers as flesh is torn off his bones by pit bulls. Enduring this hell repeatedly for everything he did and planned on doing. Through the indescribable agony, Leo pushes himself out into another prisoner's head. Anton is serving 6 years for upsetting the wrong kind of girl. After their breakup, he began to move on, and that was unacceptable to her. Why should some other bitch get the man she helped make? Her false rape charges were quick, and the trial was quicker. Despite what happened, Anton finds hope in loved ones, knowing and working tirelessly to prove his innocence. He dreams of Thanksgiving with his family. Everyone around the table bows their head, saying thanks for their blessings. Leo leaves his mind a little more hopeful and finds his way into Anna's. She's running as hard as she can through the cold morning air. The music booms in her ears, filling her with strength, speed. This is going to be her fastest mile yet. Come on, she thinks. Push. Glancing down the street before crossing, it looks clear, but she doesn't see the car coming. Her head cracks the windshield before her body tumbles off the roof. On the pavement, she tries to stand up, but can't move, can't think. Her head feels wet, and things go black. Leo is with her in this black space, where she's been laying down this entire time. He looks at her curled up in the fetal position, barely breathing, barely conscious, but he's felt her strength and knows she can get out of here. "Hey, look at me. Hey, he says, taking her hand. The street lights flicker. Okay, good. Now get up. Her hand is still limp. Come on, girl, push. Anna squeezes his hand tight, takes a big gasp of air, and they both wake up.